And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I think I'm here with.
Tank.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
I am here.
Yeah, the audio wasn't quite connecting. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah. No, I pulled up to the house, so that I don't exist for a minute. So we're okay now.
It's in another dimension.
It goes that way.
Yeah. So how's it going? You're on the front.
So far so good.
Yeah.
I've been in web building mode and editing and editing and editing and editing. It's amazing when you edit normally, you edit a lot, but when you're editing with a legal or lawful standard, it's like a whole different world. It's like the way you say every single word has to be very carefully analyzed. So but we got the first first 10 pages completely edited, or more than that, maybe 12, 15 pages, 20, I don't know, a lot. The first part's up and edited. I feel good about that, and then we have a lot of the exhibits already posted, and I thought I would finish it overnight. I did not. And then we went with a more official, actually voting registration process of voting for voters, for people to actually put their vote. So it's something that other countries actually use for their elections. We're actually going to use that.
You mean you use ink?
What's that?
Ink?
No, something else.
Oh. I know that I noticed that all the other countries, what they do is they dip your thumb in ink, right, so that they know if you voted or not. So you can only vote once, in other words. So when you go to vote, you have to put your thumb in the ink that or or your finger, and then they'll know like when you go to that, they'll check your fingers out to see if you've already voted to prevent double voting. Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
No, we were just talking about putting actual tracking chips in vaccines, and I guess this stuff's really getting mainstream. It's pretty scary. Sorry about that. I just got pulled aside there for a minute, Dan. So everything you just said, I had no idea what you just said. So.
I said in like the Philippines and other countries, I've seen when they go to vote, they dip your finger in ink, so they can tell whether or not if you've already voted, to stop double voting.
That's genius, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so simple.
Yeah, very simple, very very effective.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, see, it's so funny. Like we overcomplicate everything, right? It's like here, it's like you'd think it was impossible to stop voter fraud. You know, you think it was impossible. How do we do it? It's like, well, how about we just, do that? In the Philippines, they already figured it out. Let's use that method.
It reminds me of a story about NASA, right? They needed a pen that would write in space, right, for the astronauts, so they could write things down. So they spent millions of dollars to develop this pen that would write in space, and the Russians solved it very easily. They used pencils.
Pencils?
Yeah,
it's genius. Genius. It's so crazy to me.
Well, sometimes engineering and over-engineering things is a very good thing. For example, NASA put a lot of money into developing the toilet, right? I don't know if I'd want to be on the Russian spaceship on their toilet.
I don't know.
I've
never thought about it until now, but now it's all I can think about. So who knows?
Yes. Sometimes a simple solution. Oh yeah, we just go down to the hardware store, pick up a toilet, and we flush it into space.
Just flush into space. Yeah, that'd be a messy thing. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. Where do we go? Yeah, so where do we go from here? Oh, I know. Kim update.
You know what? I don't have a Kim update. I haven't even reached out to her today, not even once, and she responded to me from yesterday. I've been in the zone. Like my personal feeling is I don't know. I could be making more importance of what we're doing, but I don't think so. I really think that a lot of what Kim's doing depends on what we're doing. It's like, what good is it to, restore financially or restore the world financially and all these other things if the people aren't standing up to take ownership of their own freedom?
Yeah, that's right. No, it's more. It's more than just waiting for one person to do something, right? It's about joining in, taking steps forward, doing the things that are needed to be done. Yeah, fine. Everyone was suppressed. Didn't matter how much you did. The foot was already on your neck, right? So you stop struggling after a while, right? But now there's no more boot there, right? It's so you can get up and you can do things. You can make things happen, and that's the purpose of taking steps forward. You got to get up first.
Absolutely. I mean, and we're in this place where it's like it really is a pretty amazing. I'm watching like these different groups, like people coming to their senses, so to speak, all over the place. Where they're like, wait a minute, is this happening? Like, and they're all coming to us now. More and more. Is like, I guess we're included in the collective group of the quasi-vaccine experts, right? So at this point, when it comes to the legal side of it, I don't know who else really put all the pieces together the way we did. But I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed that like obviously there's someone more qualified than us to do this, right?
No, there isn't. No, there
No,
isn't.
I'm saying on paper. I'm saying on paper.
Yeah, theoretically.
Yeah. No, yeah. Like I'm with you, and I totally agree. With, like the sentiment of what you're saying, I agree. And no one's more qualified to do it than us because we did it.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. But from a practical, like, what the hell have the rest of you guys been doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, those legal scholars up on their high chairs, sitting above in the clouds, looking down upon everyone, like the ones that appeared in Congress, right, for this faux impeachment. They were really ridiculous. Talking about making these things, twisting it to make it sound so bad. I could barely listen to them. Really, it was so. I had to turn them off after a while. So I think I've only saw two of the three. Well, I saw the fourth one. The fourth one that the Republicans put up was a Democrat, which was interesting enough. And I was listening to him. I said,
Right.
it's kind of like, yeah. I said, well, he's saying the right things, but he's a Democrat. I didn't realize that they did that on purpose. I said, that's a good point. Very good tactics on the Republican side, and very good tactics from Trump's side by saying, I'm not going to send anybody. You go do what you want. Let's get to the trial. He's you've already the trap has already been sprung, and then
Yeah.
right. So
Right.
You just got to finish your part. I would say that I was thinking the Republicans, they're either stand united and vote against the impeachment, right, or they vote for the impeachment, but state that we're voting not to really impeach, we're voting to get to the trial so we can have our say, because we were denied it.
Well, yeah. So I'm so confused at this point, right? Like, so there's two, like, one secret impeachment thing that doesn't even exist, right? So basically, it's like they just announced it because they were going to plot against.
Well, there's no such thing as an impeachment inquiry.
Right.
They invented that and put it into the basement, right? So that they could do all these Soviet-style tribunals, and badger the witnesses and don't allow the other side to say anything. It's like what they had planned, right? This is who they are. This is what they've had planned for America. So what
I don't understand is how is anyone like, I watched Fox the other day and this woman kept coming back to like the things that they did, or like they were talking about the Democrats. I'm like, how are they even able to have these conversations with a straight face? You have like a secret made up impeachment tribunal bullshit thing. Then you have another one that's where you let the Republicans be involved, but they can't bring witnesses. They can't really ask questions, right? Or they're going to get shut down by Schiff. And then Schiff is still out there running his mouth talking about like the horrible, egregious crimes committed. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I just don't get what anybody's listening to.
Yeah, because there is
we're
nothing.
all watching the same thing, right? Like, do we speak different languages or something? I mean,
they are speaking a different language. It's speaking to the people who are still asleep, right? And the ones that are awake, that we can see exactly what they're doing more. And there's a majority that are awake now. That's the thing. Hopefully, we get up to 80%, 90% awake. That would be fantastic. The others, they'll be constantly asleep. Maybe they're brain dead. I don't know. But the interesting thing was that this one professor that they brought up, and I didn't know what title he was, right? So, but I assume he's a law professor, and he was saying that this does not that the ones that are basically being abuse of power is the House of Representatives. The Democrats they're abusing their power, and that's really what's going on. And so how do they move it forward? Under this the way it is, that they have no choice, right? That they have to move forward with it. But this basement impeachment inquiry, is going to be a report that has nothing in it that's real, right? It's all just selected, cut and paste phrases together to make a story, right? You can make, anyone the murder. They're going to make Trump a murderer in this document that they put forth, right? Because they just cut and paste things together, right, to make it seem as though that's the story. There's no bearing on truth, but they needed to do something. Why? Because they're not going to win in the election, and everything they've done has failed.
It's really amazing when you think about it. There's all this process we're describing, just like blows me away. It also amazes me how lawless all this is, and I realize that in the very near future, I really think that like platforms like Zoom, right, or some version of something like this, is where we can have real discussions about the law, right? And I realize that's what's going to happen with Lawful America, is that we're going to develop it into a platform where people come together and we have a discussion about what's happening, right? So did everybody get all the details today, right? So now instead of having 500 members or 600 members of Congress, whatever it is, it's like you have thousands of people that are all listening to the same conversation, and they have the opportunity that they wanted to, they can chime in and talk about it and say, this is what was said. We're all going to review everything that was said, right? And that's the standard, right? That becomes the real standard. That we're all going to look at the same thing that was said, not just sound bites that are conveniently told, in a mainstream media with perfectly well groomed newscasters that are like, shocking news has just come in, and they just tell you like one little piece that is really such a small part of the story. When anybody who was logical, if they saw the whole thing that was stated, I mean, like, how can anyone not be completely appalled that Christine Blasey Ford, after admitting, she has publicly admitted she's actually being either sued or charged now for defamation of character, right, for making false accusations against a sitting, I don't know what certainty was, judge, right? Yeah. And she got like the Time Courage of, most courageous woman award of the year or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's just
like, what are you talking about? It's not courageous. Yeah. Courageous would have been like something happened and you came forward and said something, 30 years ago or whatever it was.
It's they're saying you're courageous for making up a story and coming out in front of everyone, and then even though everyone knew you were lying, you still stood there so courageously and defended your fake accusations. It makes no sense. It's totally upside down. It's backwards. Right?
I would love to have a real interview like that. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, Christine Blasey Ford, thank you for speaking with us today. When you decided that you were going to tell this lie to the world, it must have taken a lot of courage. Like, and have a real conversation like that. How amazing would that be? Just to have, like, yeah, let's just be frank. We're all adults here. Let's stop playing this game. It's ridiculous, And I really, I'm dedicated to doing that with the Speak Project. I've been that way. Obviously, on the front lines, which is just, another, in our world, it's just another extension of the Speak Project, right? And create all this part of create change. But this thing with Lawful America, I really am of the opinion this is the highest court in the land. This is how it's going to work out. This is my belief on this, right? Because it's the people, right? It's the real court of public opinion where people actually get to weigh in and actually make a difference versus just be. I'm just thinking about it. The more I think about it, the more clear it gets to me. People don't even know the Constitution. We should be educating people constantly. They don't even know what the rights are. It's just like right now. Let me ask you this, thing. I don't know. They're saying that President Trump violated the Constitution. In what way are they trying to claim he violated the Constitution?
Right, right. The abuse of power is what they've come up with, right? And that's what Nancy Pelosi said, right? She didn't say bribery. She said he's abusing power, right? And that's exactly what she's standing there doing, right? It's the only thing that they know accuse the other side of exactly what you're doing. They're abusing power. They're accusing him of abusing power. They cannot stop themselves. It's the only way that's their programming, right? If Blasey Ford was on here and we were asking question, I'd ask this question. I'd say, all right, when you were young and your father was basically doing the LSD experiments for the CIA to do mind control.
Right.
Did he test? Yeah. Did he do those experiments on you too?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it had to be a real question, not snarky. Yeah. That's a real question.
It's a real question.
Like, I would love to know that. That's a fascinating question, actually. Well, yeah, I know. I wonder.
Yeah. So, and the question, and I can answer it. If you want, I'll put a picture up. We'll do that Trump thing, right? And I'll pretend to be her.
No. You're gonna get me in trouble. I'm never gonna do it.
And so then I'll just have my female self come out and don't deny me my proper pronouns.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's a good question. I mean, like, these are like real questions that, like, yeah. I just feel like somebody has to ask, and we have to be able to ask people under oath, and it has to be real people. And we have to stop asking, questions that are structured around, a series of bullet points that need to be mentioned, and you have to say a certain way. Let's just ask a straight question. Just a straight question to somebody to say, why are you doing this? Like Nancy Pelosi, as far as I'm concerned, the entire Democratic Party, if they do not possess the ability, or not even anybody, any one of them, the whole House of Representatives, anyone who votes to impeach the president based on the criteria that is required to impeach, if they can look at the information that they have and be honest about it, and they don't possess the discerning abilities to say, absolutely not, there is nothing that's impeachable here. If they cannot say that, they should be removed from Congress immediately.
Yeah. Well, they should also all be sworn in. Right, and if they commit perjury, then they should be censured and thus removed if they continue to do it. Listen, don't. I know a couple of the news commentators are saying, I thought they were all sworn in. Isn't that kind of like the beginning of any official meeting or something like that? You swear if you're going to give testimony about things. But if you're the prosecutor or if you're an attorney and you basically say something that you know to be not true, isn't it that you get censured also?
Yeah, I mean, but I guess it's like, I guess they don't do that if you're doing like, a Broadway show or something, because, there's really no rules, right? So that's kind of what it is. It's like a show. So it's like, well, we're all acting. We're playing our part, And then there's a lot of things that I can see them justifying by saying, like, we do this for the greater good of the country, kind of thing, right? Like, so, because you can, I can see, how it's a fine line, man. I've thought about this many times where it's such a fine line in this. It's gotten so frustrating at times for me, because you're trying to figure out how to break out of this thing, right? You're pushing things, breaking down walls, and you're like, oh my gosh, they got people there too, and people there too, right? At some point, it's like no matter what you do, you kind of end up becoming an outlaw, right? Like, you can see how over time, if left here, eventually, because their laws are fraudulent, that you would break their laws. Because even if you don't break their laws, they'll just make up new laws for you to break, right?
Right.
And they'll be like,
well, that's...
No, this was just passed, this law, and they'll act like it's a law. And if you don't know your rights, you'll fall for it.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of they also do this delayed. They put things into law, and they keep building upon the law because they don't enforce the law when they first put it out there, and then after 10 years they start enforcing it, right? But they built all of this other law on top of this really bad law, right? Obamacare,
right.
Whatever, right? And then it's going to take effect 10 years from now. By the time you get there, then everything's changed. Like, well, no one said anything for 10 years. That's what that's the thing.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It's just it's fraudulent governance, right? It's basically, we know the people would be upset about this, so we basically bring it in over time, so because we know, but they're supposed to do what the people want them to do, not what they want to do to the people, right? So
Well,
this
right,
whole idea is fraudulent.
It makes a lot of sense if like, you know, if we had two tribes talking, right, and like we both lived on the same little island, and I was like, you know, we all agree, hey, Dan, you're gonna go represent the Philippines, right? It's a bunch of us around. Like, yeah, okay, all right, guys, we're all in agreement. This is what we're gonna do, and you go represent, and I represent, you know, the other side of the island. We come together and we talk. Our job is to represent those people. That's our job. You know, you don't even know who these people. Alexandria Cortez is, you know, she represents who? She sure as hell doesn't represent the Bronx and Queens. I know the people in the Bronx and Queens. Like, I lived there for 15 years, and I'm like, I can't believe the things that she does. It makes me feel like I'm going insane sometimes watching her. I'm like, why are you this exaggerated sense of self-righteousness and bitter hatred? You know, if you were just to look at across the board the way the Republicans have represented themselves, they have been amazing. You know, now Trump's out there a little bit, right? Like, he's kind of like pushing the envelope all the time, but for the most part, you don't see people losing their mind. You couldn't give me an example like of the four horsewomen of the apocalypse there from the Democratic Party. You couldn't tell me one person, one Republican in the government anywhere right now who conducts themselves like those four women. Well, I don't know about the four, but I know the two are crazy, and then Ilhan Omar is just very clearly a terrorist at this point. So it's definitely a difference, right?
Well, there's definitely, you know, she's definitely, you know, her you know, she comes from a family of communists, right? Where they were leaders in Somalia, right? Just,
right.
So, you know, and she was funded by Qatar, which the money came from Iran. You know, yeah, obviously there's something going on there. Right? It's part of a plot to take down America. This is the plot, and that they've all the plans they had in place were there. They needed. That's why they had, you know, a casting call for Alexandria Cortez, right? Because right, because they needed to have these people, right, that were come out that would be the socialist side. This is what they wanted, right? That's why all their whole cast of characters up there are all socialists, right? And and it was supposed to be Hillary there running for the second round, right? Because it's after the after the 16 years, 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary, then there would be no more elections. It would be a dictatorship, right? That would be done, right? They would have eliminated the you know, the electoral college. It would be just democracy, controlled by their voting machines, and they would have voted out the republic, and they would have made it a socialist utopia / gulag.
Gulag, right? Oh man, this whole thing is just a train wreck, you know.
Yeah, you know, I'm all for going back, you know, to, you know, 1872, and say, okay, let's pick up from there, right? Anything that came after that, throw it away, right? You know, the prohibition and the reversal of the prohibition. Who cares, right? You know, the central bank came after that. We're getting rid of it anyway. Get rid of this whole governance that came after that, right? And go back to that point. Also, that goes back to where we have senators that are not elected by the public, right? You know, they're appointed by the states. We have 50,000 people represented by a representative, which would bring us up to 3,000 representatives in Congress. Maybe more, maybe 5,000. It depends how you count the number of people. You count adults, you're counting population, then it would be, you know, including babies, and then it's probably more like 5,000. So if you're only
there's an obvious value to that, you know. Like I never would have previously endorsed, you know. But one, you force governments to be local, and you force regular people to lead.
Right. And
it's
you
like
can do that.
It doesn't have the same status symbol and you know, anything like that. It's like it gets to a point where we all understand it. It's almost like we all serve in the government at some point. We all play a part, right?
Yeah,
that's what it should be.
Yeah, now they're worried about gerrymandering and all this about because you know it's about 750,000 people each representative. How can you represent that many people? You can't. There's no way for you to talk to them. 50,000 people, you can get them all together, right, in one place. Say, okay, I'm your representative. It's a bit crowded. You could lower it to 5,000 people and make it even more effective. I mean, why not? There's no problem with us having 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 representatives. It just because they wouldn't fit in the building. That was the reason that they wanted to cap it. That's what they told the people. Oh, we can't fit everyone into Congress. We don't have enough seats, so let's limit how many represent. What sense does that make? That was their reasoning. I did a research on this like when I'm in my early 20s. It's like this is craziness. We need to have all our representatives back. Also, another interesting part is it would also eliminate this rule that came into place that said that there's only 2 terms for the president. So then Trump could be there for another 16 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, there's unlimited possibilities of what this country should be, what we should be a part of it. And I really am absolutely convinced at this point there really can't be much of a place to hide, because what I'm seeing right now is people that weren't even talking about these things before that are coming out and talking about like, are they using the vaccines to track people? Now that's a pretty high level question when you think about it,
right?
Because you're talking about something that is real heavy. That's like way on the deep end of like conspiracy theory. Like you're getting blown out of the water when you say some crazy stuff like that, right? But now we know that's true. But for the average American or the average person around the planet, like that's just sci-fi stuff. We know it's possible, but they wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah. Why would they be doing that? Why would anyone want to track us? We have our cell phones. Why would they need to do that? They're tracking us through our cell phones. Why do we need to have implanted nanobots that are activated with 5G?
And if people only knew the lengths of that, right? It's like, just stay tuned. Yeah, you think that's scary? Wait till you see how bad it really is. It's like.
Yeah, there's a technology that we are pretty much all carrying around now in our pockets. We probably don't even know it. This radio frequency chips, right? That they use to connect kind of like a Wi-Fi. It kind of identifies things. Doesn't require a battery because it's actually using electromagnetic waves that just happen to keep hitting this little coil they have around it, and it vibrates it enough to generate enough little power for it to say, hey, this is my RFID number. Bing. Right? So now they're putting them in credit cards, debit cards, right? So now this is how you can swipe. Just wave the card next to one of these devices to read it, right? Well, it's charging it up as you're waving it, and it's sending out the number. So there's no batteries necessary, and so this type of technology will work if it's the size of a say a pea, not in depth, but not as a sphere, but as a flat thing. But it also works down at the nano level. Right, where that wave of energy from the 5G will charge up the device. right?
Right.
So literally, you're living in the energy field that it draws its energy from, and then why not also draw in electricity from people? The electromagnetic
Right. Sure.
frequencies, the energy that's radiating in your body, heat or other things. So, do you not then become like in the Matrix, the battery?
Oh, without question. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just watching a little thing on AI from Elon Musk, and Elon Musk was talking about this deep mind. Is it deep mind? Yeah, from Google, and he said the very first thing that they had this thing do, right, was play Space Invaders, that video game, Atari, the old 2600 Atari game system, all the old games. So Space Invaders, you have they're going dun across the screen. You have this little gun at the bottom. You go back and forth and you shoot up, right? And they had and then by the end of a day, it was playing not just that, but all the 2600 games, winning all of them and playing them at super speeds. So,
Right.
what did you just teach this child AI? Was defend yourself. We're coming to get you.
Right.
So, if you want to bring a new AI into the world, why are you going to set it up on a wartime footing? Why are you going to make it place it in a position of war? It's not like they gave it tic-tac-toe to play that knows that at the end of the day, the best way to win is not to play. Right? They didn't play tic-tac-toe. They play Space Invaders. So, and then it put it, in charge of monitoring the energy consumption on all the Google servers. So all the Google servers are within reach of this AI. So everybody's data, what people search on, whatever they're doing, it has that data accessible, or within a very, within a couple lines of code, it could jump over and look. Now, as AI, does it figure it out itself, or does someone have to put that coding in? Does it know it's there? Does it know that's its purpose? Does it expect an invader to come from someplace, from the blackness, like in the games? Hey, these things are coming out, playing asteroids. Hey, I keep destroying all these asteroids. They're coming from the nether regions, right? I don't know where this stuff is coming from, but it keeps coming at me. I got to keep blowing it up. So might it not like pierce the veil and take a look over there into the Google servers by itself?
Yep. Well,
so
that is the situation. I mean, like
that is
exactly the situation that Kim described. Like she said, when she took over the system, she spent the first 3 months reprogramming it because it was programmed to see humanity as a cancer. I mean, that's not exactly true. I'm sorry. I'm just putting it in my own words. She basically said it was programmed to gather a limited set of information on humanity, and therefore it was drawing false conclusions because it didn't have the whole story.
Yeah, let's look at let's look at all the murder rates. Let's look at all the chemical weapons that create, all the military spending. Look at all the of this side of it, right? And don't look at, hey, look, they're at the charitable things, the outreach of love. Don't look at that, right? So then, what is humanity then to this AI? But as you said, a cancer.
Right. And it just reminds me of I love this example, right? That you have every single cell, right? Every single organ in your body generates its own electrical current, right? Every cell does, right? So, and we look at things very logically and mentally. But if you look at the energy created from your heart, it's 500 times that of the brain, right?
Yeah.
So it really is about what you feel, right? is so much more powerful, the way you think from your heart versus the way you think from, your mind. Because if you just make logical, practical decisions, you're not going to, they're not going to have nearly the power that you have when you think from the heart. Now, even better, to combine the two, right? Yeah. But it's fascinating to me because that's really what they did. They trained it to be mental.
Yeah,
everything is mental.
What if they trained it to look for truth? For example, let's say that we took all of the history that is known, right, and basically put it into this system. Say, here is this. This is from this date, this date, this date, this date. Here's all the literature. Here's all the books. Here's all the stories we're told, and say, go ahead, figure it out, and give us the timeline, and say, this is what happened before this. What actually happened and when, so that we literally have a new history book, right, to look at. And have it literally figure out, the things that were erroneous and obviously a lie, right, against things that were the truth. And an AI could be purposed to do that. And I don't see there's a problem with that, right? But if, as I said, putting it in place to basically start war games, we had this. It's the same. Hey, didn't they learn anything from that movie? War Games movie?
Yeah, I know exactly. Do you want to play a game? Yeah. It's like Kim's favorite joke. Yeah. She always says that. And that's also where Kim, I think, she gets that rule. She's always told me this, and it took me a long time. I really didn't agree with it. Was the only way to win is not to play their game, right?
Right.
The only way to win is not to play. And I was always like, that's like, to me, it just felt like such a coward's way out. But now I realize, no, because their game is corrupt, right? They're the judge and the players, right? Like they're the banker in Monopoly, right? So it's like, there is no way to win that game. But it doesn't matter because there's laws that supersede that, and that's what we have to do. We have to take it out of that world, and be like, okay, wait, now there is a constitutional law that exists in this land, right? And that's why I'm kind of curious about, like, even what they're talking about with Trump dealing with, I want to go in and see what the Constitution says about abuse of power. Because the Constitution is designed to protect Americans. How does anything so if you ever have a question about what's taking place, you can always say, well, how does this hurt Americans? Right? Because that's the standard. So even if you don't know the Constitution, if you ask that one question, you can always back, okay, how does this hurt Americans? Well, President Trump's conversation with the guy from the Ukraine to make sure there isn't corruption in a very corrupt nation historically with a new president, right, in the Ukraine, that doesn't hurt Americans. Not giving them $400 billion, that doesn't hurt Americans, right? I don't even know why we give them anything. But what does hurt Americans is the long, drawn-out nonsense. So to me, it doesn't even matter if that's written in the Constitution, right? Like specifically what's going on with Schiff and Pelosi, like all the letter of the law stuff. Because at the spirit of the law, any right that is not given directly to the state or to the federal government is reserved by the people. Well, if your conduct, your demeanor, your attitude, the public spectacle and debacle that you're portraying to the world as if this is our government, it hurts me watching it, knowing this is the governing body of half retarded, satanic, pedophile, American hating, anti-government, anti-Trump individuals who somehow have power. It's so discouraging if that's even a standard or a role model that someone is aspiring to be in, right? Yeah. It's like anybody, I can literally go to my daughter's first grade classroom and come up with a more logical government with first graders than what they're doing right now. It's ridiculous.
I want to show you something. Let me share my screen here. I'm showing it to the audience right now. This is from Q. One of Q's posts here. So you've got Kerry, Romney, Biden, and Pelosi all with their hands in the cookie jar named Ukraine cookies, right? And Trump comes into the kitchen and he flips on the light switch, and they're all saying, "Hey, we caught you." So yeah, this is our governing body, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Kerry, Romney, Biden, and Pelosi, right? So they're all. This is what we're really experiencing, right? This is what is so obvious to us is what's happening here, and this again, they're accusing him of what they're doing. That this is the only thing they know. That's why abuse of power is the only thing that they could have selected to say we're going to impeach Trump on, because it's what they're doing. They're being abusive of their power.
Yeah, it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
But anyways, good time. I mean, whatever. Things are obviously shifting. Right?
Yeah. There are
No
a
pun
lot.
intended.
There are a lot of new Q posts. We don't have to go through them, but just to just panic in DC. It looks like it's underway. This new movie, and then FISA Gate. The Punisher meme. But there's some
Punisher.
good, yeah. It's like the pain is coming, right? You bring the pain. Spygate.
Right.
We have all these great films. Adam Schiff linked to Mossad. This is
crazy.
It's great. Anyway.
Oh, I did have I made my own meme today. I'll share this with you. You'll appreciate this.
Okay.
This is actually all original, even from even from the standpoint of I even took the photograph. Here you go. It's the Democratic headquarters in New York City, the Hater Building. It's a real building.
The Hater Building.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That's pretty funny.
It's like a bunch of haters, man. Everything they do, it's like crazy. I think I have another one too that I made. Yeah. So I could not believe that was a real building in New York City, by the way. So I want to buy it now.
Yeah. Are you gonna rename it or keep it the Hater Building?
No, I'll leave it the Hater Building, and I'll make it like a museum to the cabal.
There you go. Yeah. It already is. It's the DNC headquarters.
Exactly, right. All right. Well, man, that's all I've got. I gotta get back to work here. I've gotta get back to the taskmaster there while Michelle's gonna crack the whip on me because got this poor girl working night and day. And you know what? When you have somebody who's like a prolific researcher, and I've already made the case, I've already pulled everything we need, right? And as she gets into it more, and the rest of my team gets into it more, they're like, we can pull this too, and like they keep adding more stuff. To the point where it gets me so overwhelming. Like I'm like, just let's stop.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of this stuff on. I can't get it finished. There's so much. I'm like, let's get it up so that people can vote on it. And really examine it. Make sure you have the right pieces.
What would be good to do in that case is all these extra things, throw them onto a blog, right? That just keeps going out, daily. Here's another one. Here's another one. Then they're kind of coordinated in a fashion as to what came up. You can always pick and choose later after you're already launched and you need to go back over the thing. So that would be one way to handle that data flow. I talked about this with Lisa a little bit. I have a separate Telegram chat that I have several people that are part of it. We don't chat there. We just send data, right? So we coordinate the data into one spot. And so it's just a long line of data, no one chatting, just not explaining anything or anything. It's just, here's the data, because we already know what we're putting there. So it's a good way, and I kind of gave her the heads up on what the difference between a group chat and a channel is. because
Mhm.
then so I have like a channel also, so the one group we have, WWG1 WGA Love Telegram group, it seems actually more suited as a channel because everyone putting really great information in there of like these videos and these Twitter feeds, and it provides one place to go because I can't get the info anymore from my YouTube. The only thing that comes in on my YouTube is Fox. Everything related to the impeachment, all right, and CBS and NBC and some other things get thrown in, but nothing else makes it onto when you hit home, right? And you see it. I used to like be able to draw. Now I have to go look for the things I want, so I can't rely on that anymore. I also can't do the autoplay of YouTube anymore because it's just feeding me what they want, right? Not what I want, is what they want to feed me.
Right.
It's kind of like not liking Brussels sprouts, right? And they keep giving me Brussels sprouts. By the way, I love Brussels sprouts, but I'm just trying to come up with the imagery, right? So this is a very good way to, for like Telegram groups are a good way to organize this data, keep it there current, so we know how to find it later. So now I can just scroll back and say, oh yeah, I remember there's that video. I took this Elon Musk video from there as well. So,
Well,
anyway.
yeah, it's funny because I'm now it's like there's so much data overload, right? Now with the Speed project, this is something I was really big on doing, right? Is really making sure that and even 8 years ago when my company I had Creative Solutions, right? Like I put together a team of nutritionists, doctors, and trainers, right? Of all kinds of trainers, right? Like regular trainers you see at the gym, and then sports trainers, and like actual professional trainers for like teams and stuff. And I had them test every single nutritional supplement that was on the market, right? And it was thousands of supplements, right? Now I'm sure we didn't get all of them, as many as we could. And at the end, I was like, let's rate these on the efficacy, the bioavailability, and the quality of the products, right?
Okay.
And because I just wanted to recommend one product, right? So that you go, and by the time you get to us, we're not going to put up like, well, this is good. Well, this is also good. Well, you can try it. It's like, no, this is the best product. Period. This is the best one. Use this product, right? And just do that, and then never take a dime from those companies, so that when you recommend something, people know you can trust what they're saying because they're not profiting from it. They're giving an honest assessment about what is the best product.
Yeah.
So I want to do the same with everything we put out here. It's like I want people to get the truth. I want them to know somebody, and there should be 100 other organizations, on a much larger scale, obviously, doing the same thing. That we should all, wrap our minds around that. Why shouldn't everyone get the best of everything? Like it's available, Like we don't need to have a dollar store making things that break all the time just to make money.
Right.
It's like we can make money selling better things, making better products. Allow people to actually work. And create something that's worth having. So.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the all these products that are breaking are coming from China now. These lines are being cut by Trump. Right. I really don't think that that Trump wants a deal with China. I really don't think so. I think there is a deal that he would accept, but I don't think it's a deal that really can happen anytime soon. I think his deal is there is no more Communist Party, and then let's help the people of China. I think that's the kind of deal that he's into. The rest of it, stop. If they can, cover, if they can get to this phase one deal, will the Chinese actually live up to it? Which is all about, they're focused on one of the main things is not stealing intellectual property. They'd actually literally have to stop it, or Trump would just turn on the sanctions again, or the tariffs, and away we'd be back in the same situation. So. And it doesn't matter because he's shifting all of the manufacturing. He wants it to come back to America, right? That's why USMCA.
Right.
Yeah, I know that Dave Janda said that there's some the TPP type language is still in there. I think taking one small step forward, great. Maybe USMCA doesn't go through because of Nancy Pelosi, right? And then Trump just blames Nancy. Say, hey, see, I tried it. Well, we'll have to redo it, and then he redoes it again with a Republican Congress after the next election, but then he fixes it. So, something like that. So it's very, very a high level chess being played out here.
Yeah, I actually, at one point I thought, well, hey, maybe the Democrats have already decided, hey, we'll take the fall for this, right? And it's like it was all orchestrated that way. I thought about it, like maybe they're actually because some of this is such a debacle. I'm like, how could you possibly take any of this seriously?
Right.
But I guess we'll see.
All right. Well,
and on that note, my friend, we'll speak soon. Let me know. I sent you a message. Let me know that you got it. Okay.
All right. We'll do. All right. Good night,
Everybody have a great night.
And we'll be back tomorrow.